So why funk analytical diagrams now? This is basically, it's my own invention. It has nothing to do with anything that you will hear everywhere. But I've always felt that we as a student talk like this. I will tell you how. And Americans talk a lot like this. Among Indians, typically students, especially who do masters here, they talk like this. How? I will tell you. And Americans always talk like this. These are all analytical diagrams. They talk in terms of some boxes and all that stuff. For example, once I was talking to a mechanic, literally a technical electronic mechanic. I was talking about his fax machine. So I told him, basically, he says that if you see, fax machine has three components. When you're sending the fax, it scans the paper and it transmits it. So it has two main parts for sending the fax. Transmitter has two main parts: it's dials, and then it actually converts the entire data into electronic components and it sends. We understand this language? To me, this is an analytical diagram. I see two boxes connected. One is a transmitter, second box is the scanner component. Second thing a fax does is receives faxes. Agreed? So when someone sends a fax, that transmitter component there's another receiver component. Sometimes one thing might be working as transmitter receiver, but basically there's a receiver component. It receives the faxes, converts from electronics into a paper format, and then there is a printer mechanism which prints it. So if you see this is a analytical diagram. This is a rough diagram of what we're talking. There's a dial pad. Dial pad is also needed for the user to enter the number. It is not needed for receiving. Sometimes it is, okay. So scanning mechanism sends the data to transmitter mechanism from here to here, right? And receiver sends it from this to this, right? There is no relation between two. He mentioned some very interesting fact. He said that every fax machine can be easily designed to also copy. Designed, जो designer है वो बना सकता है, हर fax machine को copier भी बना सकता है. I said, what do you mean? He said he just has to connect the printing mechanism, scanning mechanism to printing mechanism. It becomes a copier. Very interesting analytical thought. Yeah, just one line needs to be drawn from there to here. It will give an additional function in the dial pad. He can use it for faxing, and he can use it for receiving fax. He can now use it for copying also. I like this analytical thought. We all talk like this. Whether you make diagrams the way I have made, whether you don't, but we all talk like this, right? I want you guys to increase your ability to talk in terms of these Y diagrams. Y is basically Yogja, my daughter's name. So Yogja diagrams. I want you guys to think in terms of Yogja analytical diagrams. These are Yogja functional analytical diagrams. Really good. So I want you guys to think like that. The Y diagrams. You guys do that already.
Yeah, but whenever I think about Yogja, let's make some time.
So when we are talking, you talk in terms of these boxes, connections, right? And and how the things will flow, and it will send a message to this.
Process flow.
Yeah, process flow like this.
Flow diagram.
Well, process flow diagram is something else.
But if you understand the process, you can.
Yeah, but think about these things. Just think. When you're talking, you always talk like this. I was talking to one guy regarding how AC works and how heat works. So he says there is a mechanism to get the air in. If you turn on the AC, it goes through the AC. There's an AC chamber. It goes through the AC chamber. If you turn the knob and you turn on the heat, it goes through the heating chamber, right? And then both the chambers output is connected to the windshield and all those 5 places. It can go right. So whatever you choose, it gets directed to that. I can easily understand what he's talking. To me, this is my Y diagram. It's in my mind. You guys all talk like this. I give you 2 examples now. What is a Y diagram? In case of client and server, you should also think. In case of civil also, you should think in terms of Y diagrams. You should utilize these a lot. Okay. And I want you to think in terms of now something like for every item like that auto-generated field. can there be a scope of a wire diagram, how it works, what is the importance. For example, in case of client server, it is generated there and then it is sent. Once this happens, you can put conditions in this, scanning mechanism. It scans it, it doesn't it transmits. Once it becomes available, you can put a condition here. I don't want to make it a complicated diagram, but it's in our mind. That's how we are thinking, right? So I wanted to think in terms of wire diagrams.